All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Brock Yoga. I'm the founder of Forceget Digital Freight Forwarder. I have two incredible guests today. Happy Monday, everybody. Jason is from My Amazon Guy. Vince, everybody knows him from Trivium Group right now. I used to be the star of Helium Sand PPC. So, how's everybody doing today?
Good, good. It's a Monday morning, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're in California, right,
It's
Vince?
President's Day. Everyone else is off, but
Exactly. I know it's a tough day. So, guys, today we will be talking about a topic that a lot of people hate, a lot of people love. I think that's something that in Amazon world, now even being more important, like in Shopify, Walmart world, something like extremely important. PPC. Two experts today. I'm having in my broadcast. We have like more people join in. We have 17 people live right now, so I'll be waiting a little bit. Vince, do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself briefly, and then we're gonna go with Jason.
yeah, sure. So, thanks for letting me be on the show today. Number one, yeah, like you said, I come from Helium 10. I was there for 3 years and 3 months, and basically, I kind of launched their PPC side of the business. At the time, I was a consultant, and I was using Helium 10 tools, and they contacted me in late 2019 and said, "Hey, we don't have anyone here that knows PPC. Come on board." And so I did, and I basically helped them launch the PPC platform, which is now called Atomic by Helium 10. It's a great PPC tool, and one that I still use, actually, even though I'm no longer with them. So now I'm kind of back to my consulting and working directly with clients again, and then also partnering with Mina to do content and keep that creative and training side that that brand, so to speak, that I formed at Helium 10, trying to keep that alive
Right.
as best I can and stay in touch with the community.
Perfect. What about you, Jason?
Yeah. Well, I my background was in actually started on Amazon doing retail arbitrage, like a lot of people, many years ago. And then started doing consulting for FBA and that sort of thing. And my first real, I guess, Amazon job was doing Vendor Central for a large distributor here in California. And then I moved away from that and did more consulting and worked some odd jobs here and there. And then I found Steven, and I've been working at my Amazon Guy for over 2 years now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Guys, today we'll be talking about a lot of things. Actually, Vince, he's putting a lot of content, free content, but really useful. In Amazon world, unfortunately, a lot of, there are a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of like some companies or like experts or gurus. I don't like calling that, but there's so many people, they actually put actual good content. My Amazon is one of them. Vince, you are one of them. Helium 10 was like absolute Helium 10, still like one of them, Trivia Mina. So I'm really excited about it. So I'll start with the questions, guys. First of all, what happened at the end with Amazon who overcharge people, or we never know, like, how their metrics work? During the fourth quarter in 2022, a lot of people, actually, Amazon refunded a lot of money back to the sellers. They find out their mistakes. So let's start with you, Jason. Like, what's your experience so far? If people have had this problem, or they never check even. So how do you even check like how much you pay for PPC, how much Amazon charge you versus the impressions? Is there a way to understand that?
It's not just the PPC console that has inaccurate reporting. It's the
Yeah.
payments report, the remittance reports, everything.
Right.
Um, you maybe Vince has a better answer, but you have to, if you think that there's a anomaly, you have to individually ticket each instance. We have a sister company called My Refund Guy that does this because it is time, especially if you have a lot of SKUs. It takes a lot of time if you're a large vendor to do this. But yeah, it's everything's inaccurate. The payments report never matches the sales report, even if you take into account refunds, and you have to be on track of it. And if you take that into scale of a company that's, say, they're doing $10 million a year on Seller Central, that's a lot of money each year that Amazon is just
Absolutely.
not that's taking from you, you know. Vince?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. The clients that I work directly with, only one of them had that anomaly happen. And to be perfectly honest, the only reason that he knew about it was because he adamantly is watching his numbers, and he saw a dramatic drop in conversions, towards the end of last year, following consecutive months of increase, and he compared it against last year, right? So it was only in looking at the data, really in a longer form.
Right.
And with Atomic, I was able to do that because we saved 2 years worth of history, right? So you could always look back at the previous year.
Absolutely.
So if you have access to tools like that, I highly suggest. That's why I built that in, for example, is so that you could look at last year and always keep an eye on that.
And do you think, Vince, people can actually look at the keyword tracker? Like, what if the search volume, let's say, decreased 20%, if your impressions or other metrics are like less than, let's say, 30%, do you think there's a problem that time? Like, how do you measure that? Like, you compare only the impression rate to impression, but maybe that your search volume on that keyword went down 50%. So how do you normally link those data numbers?
Yeah, the only anomaly that we saw was really the impressions, which then it affects everything else, right? So once we what we did actually was kind of take a deeper dive into brand analytics and compared those, the top previously converting keywords, right? And looked at the impressions, the counts that were there and the search volumes that were there. And once we looked at the data, it didn't line up. So again, this wasn't me doing that. It was the seller, kind of getting into it. And then, we met about it and I said, let's look at brand analytics. So we did look at that together. But, really, unfortunately, when anomalies happen, sometimes Amazon doesn't let us know.
Right.
They're really good in some instances, letting us know that something has happened. But you really just got to be on your numbers, or have somebody that is looking over your shoulder, looking at those numbers, somebody on your team that is looking at the numbers regularly and comparing them against previous periods numbers so that you can see, hey, wait a second, we haven't changed anything. We're not out of stock. We haven't changed the listing. We weren't delisted. Yeah. We didn't change our PPC tactics, right? So why are we seeing this dramatic shift in performance? And then communicating and opening tickets directly with Amazon to try to see if you can figure it out.
Absolutely. There are so many things actually. Jason was right. When it comes to the Amazon or any other marketplaces, imagine they have like 1 million square feet warehouses. They have like billions of data that, somehow I don't think they actually do this on purpose, but there's so many things that there could be like gap, and they have probably their teams are like all over the world, right? That they're not in everyone in the same office that you say like, hey, you do that. It's not like that. So some people might be thinking, hey, why Amazon is doing that? Are they like, leveraging something that we can't actually understand? We don't really know what's happening, but I think it's important to look into your data. So when it comes to,
yeah, I will say this just because I worked hand in hand with the Amazon reps for many years. It's amazing. You talk to one person on one team and the other person in another team, and they literally don't know what the other team is doing.
Right.
And even though they're both doing sponsored ads, right? They're both doing PPC.
Yeah.
They're completely different departments. And
Absolutely.
So Amazon is so huge. I think most sellers don't think about that, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Amazon is so big that sometimes right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And so
Absolutely.
You really need to go to be proactive. And again, I don't think they're doing these things on purpose, like you said, but you do need to make sure that you're not just 100% relying on Amazon to be accurate all the time, because
absolutely,
software is software. There's been times, working on the PPC tool that I helped build. Sometimes something happened, some developer somewhere changed something to make an improvement here, but then it affected something over here. And once you have like a massive QA team, sometimes you don't catch it until it's out there. And then you need to actually just communicate that and hopefully get things corrected as soon as possible.
Sure. When it comes to the software, you mentioned that it's interesting. Actually, I was going to add one thing. Same with the Amazon warehouses, which I believe they have even more proper SOPs, how to check in the boxes, how to receive things. You know, everything's written. This is the box size. This is the max we can receive. This is the pallet labels. You need to stitch it there. And then we sometimes send 100% properly prepared like pallets or cartons, and they're like, oh, we cannot receive this because of XYZ. And then we're like, yeah, but you received the same thing like 1 week ago, the same way. They're like, yeah, you know, we don't know. But anyway, like, you know, it's either deal, you know, leave it or deal with it. You know, we cannot really do too much. But I have a good question. I think we have some questions also coming in. Guys, what software do you recommend? I know that you guys are running really big clients, maybe mid-sized client. If you're a 6-7 figure Amazon seller, let's say you're making $120,000, you have maybe 1 people, or you're like 1 VA, 2 VAs. When do you think it's a good time to use number 1 agency, number 2 the software, or do you think it's better? Let's start with Jason. Do you think, Jason, it's better to just look at the Amazon.com, you know, the PPC page, which Amazon is also, I think, start playing with the experience a little bit. You know, so they've come out with like a new programs, new maybe new front end, like, you know, helping people to have like a better visibility. Do you recommend people, Jason, to use? There are a lot of different great softwares out there. Do you think people should use something, make it like more basic and simple to see it and view their details, or like Amazon.com PPC page is enough actually?
So the more tools you have, the better you do here. You know, we use a ton of tools here at My Amazon Guy. Before I get into the software, Amazon has been making large strides in getting you the data, not in the necessarily in the PPC console. I know they've made a lot of changes here recently, but the biggest thing in the last couple of months was the search query performance, which Vince mentioned. And brand analytics. And when it came out, it was only at the brand level. Now you can actually find it at the ASIN level, and that tells you your keywords that you're getting cart ads for, you're getting purchases for, you're getting impressions for on an organic standpoint, not including the PPC, which is very, very important, because when you compare that search query performance report with your targeting report in the PPC campaign, you'll find all kinds of different keywords that the auto campaigns may have not picked up, that you know you're getting cart ads and purchases for, and you need to put those in exact match campaigns because you're going to get sales on those words. You have the proof, right? So, you know, that's within the Amazon. As far as the software goes, obviously we use Helium 10. I use it every single day. We don't do any automation in our agency. All of our advertising is hands-on, bulk files, that sort of thing. So I do have some experience with Adtomic. Very good. I do use it on my account. So but Helium 10, you know, different programs here. Sometimes I'll use a program called Zonguru. It's similar to a little bit similar to Helium 10 as far as it can show you some different results in X-ray and their Cerebro type function. We use, I'm going to go through all my apps right here. We use Grammarly, obviously, so we're not misspelling things.
But that's another topic that we're gonna, you know, jump in later, the SEO indexing. So top 3 will be like, so Zonguru, Helium 10, another one, Jason?
So, I mean, for DSP, obviously there's like Perpetua, you know, it's really hard to get seats on DSP platforms. A lot of people go through them. I don't want to plug, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to plug a bunch of companies here or not.
It's all right. Yeah, exactly. No, these are like different things. I mean, obviously you can have a lot of different data, a lot of different softwares. It's really good to compare the data and then see which one works out better, which one you can read better, right? Vince, you created one of the probably the best tools in the market. I think everybody like loves you because of helping that. So what do you think about the softwares versus the Amazon data?
Here's what I always tell sellers: learn the PPC console, the Amazon ads console first, right? That's important because you need to have a basic understanding of how that works, so that, let's say you're in it and you directly want to go to an agency. Well, knowing it is the only way that you're going to know if the agency is doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? So you need to have that basic, that basic foundation first. Or you can go Amazon Ads Console, learn that, and then software, right? It could be Atomic, it could be another tool. like you said, depending on your size, there are lots of different PPC tools out there. Of course, I'm biased to the one I helped build at Helium 10, which is just included with the Diamond plan. But the bigger you get, your needs are going to change, right? The more SKUs you have, your needs are going to change. Like when you first start out, handful of SKUs, you could probably manage it yourself directly in the Amazon Ads console. I do think learning that first and going directly to a software is smart. But then when you get bigger and you don't have enough time, and maybe you're doing other things, maybe you still have a second job, that's when you start looking to an agency, like my Amazon guy, like Trivium Group, who also does DSP. Mina at Trivium does DSP as well. So really, I think it's important to know those foundations. I've seen too many sellers that have come to me and asked me to audit their PPC accounts, for example, and they don't know anything, and they've been running for like 6 months. And I'm like, why did you never learn the basics? And like, oh, we went immediately with this, with this team, with these VAs, whatever it is. Yeah. And I think I don't think that's the best approach.
No, I agree. There's a good saying, actually: learn a little bit of everything, but then one thing about everything. So it's really important to run the journal, because this successful supply chain, international logistics, 3PL, inventory management is a part of running your PPC business. Because if you run out of stock, then what's going to happen, right? So you need to manage. Most of the people, they ask me, last 2 years, Amazon has changed a lot of different things about the inventory management in the PPC, the indexing, A8, A9, A10, whatever you call the algorithms. We all trying to figure out and trying to be more successful. Eventually, technically, imagine we are all sellers, service providers, but we are actually also a buyer. So technically, you need to put the right picture, right content. You need to actually start the deep dive, like in Amazon.com, Seller Central account, because Amazon is actually giving you a lot of information now with the demographics. Who's the buyer? Then you actually can check what kind of people you're actually targeting and who they're buying to. Like, you can read the reviews, and then instead of, if the 60% of your buyers are like, elderly people aged between 45 to 55, why would you go and put a picture attracts, like young girls or young boys? So many things people, I hope I'm not really making up things, but like that's generally making sense, right?
No, that
reading the data.
That absolutely makes sense. And there's some things that you can do specific to that, I think, that are really, really interesting. Those that do have access to that search query report we were talking about. Like, if you get really creative with that, you can actually build custom creatives speaking to specific types of search terms, right?
Can you repeat the name of the report, please, one more time? I'm going to drop it in the chat.
Oh, it's the search query performance report that we were speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
And what you can do is, if you see any particular search terms, you have a high conversion share but low impression share for, again, specific keywords, you can use, if you're brand registered, you can create a sponsored brand or a headline search ad, the one that's right at the top below the search, and you can make that specific to that particular search term, right? So if it is a search term that has the word elderly in it, then obviously you would put maybe a lifestyle image of elderly. If it says adult, young adult, whatever it is, I mean, that's very specific to your example, but you can get really creative with that. And what you'll see if you do that, if you test that, it should result in, higher impression share and obviously a much higher conversion rate, because you're literally right below the search bar talking to that specific keyword that person, that shopper put in.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the topic, Jason. We were discussing before we go live, actually, and you were like, oh, that's a great question. So Amazon PPC, everybody talks about it, but then Amazon, we all tell, or we all know, or we all hear that Amazon loves outside traffic. So how much this is true, and what is the balance? Obviously, one of the biggest search tool in the world is Amazon.com, right? Especially in North America. I read something around 68% of the searches. Maybe the numbers are like has changed, but it starts on Amazon. So if people go and search something on Amazon, they most likely going to buy, especially if they're a Prime member. And almost 80% of the people, they're using their iPhones to buy the product, right? Oh, same time my phone just rang. Oh my God, it's crazy. And what do you guys think about how much people should be looking? I mean, there are also a lot of people, I think, before they finish the 100% work on Amazon, they're trying to go, Google, maybe they do like Facebook ads. Now TikTok starts, like Instagram. Jason, what do you think the balance should be, and when people should be start looking, and what after what number? How much organic sales should be versus the PPC? And then when people should be, do you think, start looking at outside traffic? But of course, probably you think that PPC, Amazon PPC is first. So what is the approach for a new client, or people are curious about 6, 7 sellers figures, or like they're about to start?
Okay, so driving outside traffic, you need to establish a brand. You need to get that going, and you have to have a product that is kind of what Vince was saying. It needs to be relevant to the target audience. And if you're doing a walking cane on TikTok, it's probably not going to do as well as some sort of viral type of product. I don't know off the hand here, but to answer the first part of your question, Amazon loves outside traffic. They keep bringing out more and more tools to get you to bring in outside traffic. Brand referral bonus, came in last year, and they're paying you 12% to bring in a sale, right? That's
Right.
basically almost your fees for the sale. I have a couple clients that have television commercials. They have websites that are very, very high converting. And last year, I convinced one of them to put "you can buy this on Amazon" tag on their website, the attribution. They were afraid, oh no, it's going to take sales away from the website. We're paying more on Amazon.
Yeah.
Here's what happened, right? And this is very high traffic website. They did not lose any sales on their website. In fact, all of the data shows that all of the orders that we're getting on Amazon were going to be lost sales because people didn't want to go put their credit card in some website that they didn't know. As you said, they already have their credit card in Amazon. You can go directly to the page. They already have a Prime account. It'll be there in 1-2 days. And this is significant as far as outside traffic goes. Like, not everybody's running TV commercials, but this can still go down if you have any website traffic at all. If you're getting it from Facebook or anything like that, you can buy on Amazon with an attribution link on your website. Those are lost sales that you're getting from that.
Yeah, I agree. Vince, what do you think?
I do think that it's not necessarily for beginners. I would say that you should have data up front that says that your website is converting, or more importantly, since you're sending it to Amazon, that your listing is the most optimized it can be, right? And typically you don't know that until you've got data behind it. So even before PPC, you should be making sure that your product listing looks as good or better than your closest competitor, right? That's just PPC 101. So I do think that outside traffic is important. It's interesting. I remember the days when Amazon didn't like outside traffic, and they were and to be perfectly honest, they were smart about it, because it actually did help, I think, in some way transition from people. Amazon used to be the place where you would browse, and Google, well, let me see. Yeah, it would be the place you'd browse, and Google was the place you'd search, right? Now people are just going to Amazon and doing their browsing and their buying, right? So it's completely switched, which is why Amazon's okay with outside traffic now. And that's why they're building additional things. So if you do have a solid website, a solid listing, and some data, then I would say try it. But use the attribution. Amazon does have built-in attribution in the Amazon Ads console. There are some softwares that actually have that custom built in. I think Atomic is adding that at some point. But track, if you're going to do it, test, and then obviously track the performance. You can see what's working, what's not working. Because what I often find too is just because something works for a website doesn't mean it's going to necessarily work for your listing too. So you always have to make sure you're tracking those kinds of creatives and ads separately.
Yeah, I agree. I think you mentioned something interesting. Your listing needs to be better than other competitors, right? So everything comes down to, actually, you need to, as a seller, you need to tell Amazon with your listing pictures that you're relevant, right? The relevancy is number one, is actually connected to the conversion that you can actually sell, right? I want to buy a cocktail shaker set. I go to type on cocktail shaker set, has a 10,000 search volume. And I scroll down on my phone, everything looks like the same, everything has a similar price, everything has like a reviews, some coupons. So as a buyer, you kind of need to go and choose a couple of the listings that you like or you click, right? This is Amazon thinks that if people click, then Amazon thinks that you're relevant. If they add to cart, Amazon thinks you're more relevant. I hope I am not mistaken, right? And then when you buy it, Amazon thinks, okay, this guy is actually relevant with this keyword. So this is a theoretical information that everybody kind of knows. A lot of courses that mention that. But when it comes to the actual conversion rate, as you mentioned, Vince, a lot of people, they don't want to learn about PPC, and a lot of people, they don't also want to read their business reports. Right. What is their conversion rate? What's the impressions? Like how many people actually comes to your page and how many people buys the product, and actually how you can sell the same customer more than one product. Amazon even loves that more, right? You make Amazon make money actually. So when it comes to the conversion, let's start, Vince, with you, because I know that you kind of did like a lot of consultant, and you did the PPC education for Helium 10. When people say their conversion is rate, where do you start from? Like, where do you start? Because it's like chicken and egg, right? You can't convert because you don't have enough people on your listing. You can't get more people on your listing because you cannot convert. So where do you start this puzzle?
Well, if somebody comes to me and specifically says they just have a low conversion rate, like they have good impressions, they have good clicks, but they don't have good conversions, to me, that's just an immediate sign that there's something wrong with your listing, right? To me, that's just a red flag. Well, the PPC is doing its job. All sellers should understand this. The PPC is just the road, right? It's just the highway to get people to off the highway of that search to your store. Your store is your listing, right? So if your listing isn't fully optimized, again, good images, video, good product descriptions, A+ content, if you can get it in there. It's the actual listing or product detail page that makes the sale. That's what the PPC doesn't make the sale. The landing page makes the sale. The detail page makes the sale. So if you've got, good impressions and good click-through rates and things like that, but you're seeing low conversions, something's wrong with the listing, or maybe the price, right? So then you need to test different things, lower the price a bit, see if that helps. Maybe put a on sale. Maybe that's the issue. I mean, you could very easily look at your competitors and see, oh, is it a pricing thing, right? That's the first thing I would test. Trivium does a really good job of actually just testing in this kind of scenario. They basically just change, the main image and then test it for a week and then see what the results were. Then the second image, and do the same thing. After a week, look at the data, the third image. So if you've got the ability to just test different scenarios, different titles, different images, different pricing, then that's going to affect your conversion rate.
Vince, I need to ask you about something here. I'm sorry, I'm really curious. Jason, I'm going to let you answer this question. I don't want to change the topic, but Vince, how do you track the results? You change something. Obviously, you shouldn't change the title and picture at the same time because you cannot understand which one has a better effect, right?
Exactly.
You need to keep everything same.
Yeah.
Right. Same price, same coupon, everything.
Right.
You change it, and how long? So would you make that change with the Amazon experiment, or you just like do manual? Because it's also important to track the result.
Yeah, exactly. So I would do it manually, and I would look at the effects of your total sales. So management experiments is a great addition, but it's not 100% accurate if you want to take into account your total sales. So anyone who's watched me on any of my episodes of my Tacos Tuesday session, which I'm bringing back at the end of this month, by the way, in a week.
Nice.
Looking at your tacos, your total ACoS is important because we do know that PPC affects your organic sales, right? So if you're just looking at ACoS, one metric, you're not getting the full picture. So when you're doing these kind of tests or experiments, Trivium, for example, looks at the total sales. Like what effect did that one change have on total sales? That image, right? And again, only one thing, nothing else changed. And then at least a week, and you could do longer if you're doing it manually. You could look at 2 weeks worth of data if you want, but manually looking at that and looking at it against your total sales, I think is more effective than using management experiments, because management experiments is just looking at the PPC results, right? It's just saying, okay, you made this image change a week later. What were the PPC results? Yeah. And that's not the full picture.
I agree. Yeah. So Jason, what do you think of like both questions? Actually, I think they're a little bit connected.
No, I mean, just like Vince said, the number one issue, if you have impressions and you're getting clicks, but no conversion is either main image or price. That's always what it is. So you have to look at first, are you priced at $49.99 and everybody else in these keywords is, at $19.99, and you're a brand new brand and you only have 2 reviews? That's probably not a good price point for you. Is your main image? You have to look. People change, right? More recently, start looking at images in different categories. Type in coconut shampoo on Amazon. What do you see? Okay. You see just the bottle, like it should be, but then now you're seeing a bunch of people put coconuts in there and pineapple leaves and stuff like that, right? Those images convert better. That's why Amazon's allowing them now.
Right, correct, right? Like it used to be only white image. Now I see a lot of Valentine's Day gifts that like pinkish, like red stuff, like some hearts. So kind of trying to attract more, right?
The main image terms of service are out the window now. You can add, you can even, they're letting you even add text and images to sometimes, like, so they know that these images convert better. So they're shying away from the terms of service here. So if your competitors are doing that, you need to take a shot at it. Do either A/B test or do manual. I just do the same thing as you, Vince, manual. I don't have time for a 4-week A/B test.
Right. Yeah, I think that's too much, but I think that was like a beta, the same way the Amazon Start, other things. I think more people using, they're gonna probably optimize that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other problem I have with it is there's no data on when they're flickering it. I know they say 50% or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just easier to see the sales difference correctly if you swap the main image. And just like you said, Barack, don't change your title and your SEO and your A+ content and your main image all at the same time. You have no information on what increased what there,
Yeah. I have a question for Jason. What are you seeing better results in? Swapping out a brand new lifestyle image or just moving a lifestyle image? Because a lot of people have lifestyle images in their second, third, or fourth position. Are you seeing better results with them just a brand new main image, or are you just moving them up and seeing?
So it's a very good question. And this is going to be dependent on product and what the customer is looking for. On mobile, and they're experimenting with different things. I know maternity wear here for a while had scrollable images on the desktop as well. But so say we're selling, a yo-yo, right? And our main image is the yo-yo and the different string that comes with it or whatever. Who's the target audience here, right? It's kids. It's going to be a gift for kids. So that second image on the stack better be, mom giving the yo-yo to the target age group that we're, targeting. We need to connect with our audience on a product like this. They need to see themselves giving this gift, right?
I see a lot of people are actually copy their competitors, but what if your competitor is making a mistake? Like so many people, they don't want to pay a lot of money on A/B testing. Like when before even they launch, they should do A/B testing. The best result should be probably your second, third image, whatever. You need to start spending some money before actually making money, right? Because also the first couple of months, probably, or a couple of weeks, you might be like burning money with your PPC. You don't know what's gonna perform better, what you need to optimize. So I think it's important to test everything, like before even you launch, right? Jason, how do you prepare the listings of your customers? I know that you have people that they have been selling the same product, same category, but you're gonna, let's say, start like a launch new product. How do you get prepared? Obviously, you're using, let's say, Helium 10 keyword research. You check the most relevant. You write the bullet points, like A content, pictures. You think, okay, my listing looks 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. But then what is next, Jason? Like, what's the optimization? You turn on the PPC, and then you also need to optimize your listing constantly, right? With your auto campaign, like profitable, or you do like broad campaign. Obviously, you do exact, but you need to find the keywords that are performing well, or like you can even change the image. So how is this like? Let's say it's kind of an onboarding process, right? Like launch, it's like 1 month, 1.5 months, like even 2 months maybe. But you tell me better, maybe like how long do you think that it's a good time that you kind of tell people, okay, you guys now let your listing to start working by itself? Like, how often you need to work on that until it's optimized, or when do you think you can say it's optimized already?
So, you should always be testing, like you said, but you're going to have to launch at some point. So you launch and then you start looking at data. Now, to answer the first part of the question, how do you know if your competitors are making a mistake? Well, we can get that data with X-ray and all that stuff. You should be on a new product launch like this on an established seller account or brand. You have all the data of what's working. You do want to mimic what they're doing. They've already done the testing for you in that sense. So if they have, a gram or mom handing the kid the yo-yo and as the secondary image, we want to replicate that, right? And then we can do testing once we start getting sales in and that sort of thing, seeing if we can improve on what's already working. There's lots of other strategies here on a brand new product that's not going to have any reviews. Can you parent it with one of your hero products that's doing really well? Are they in the same category? Can they be complemented with each other, right? That would give a big boost to not only your new product, but also help you logistics wise on maybe your hero product's really churning and you're having trouble keeping it in stock or something like that, right? Now you have a second option on that listing. Now you have, I'll get the yo-yo and also the yo-yo stand that's right next to it, so I can have my yo-yo on display or whatever, right? So all kinds of different strategies there. I could go on and on about this.
Yeah. What do you think wins?
Honestly, what I think that people need to really understand, yes, testing is great at launch. Images are easy. Just use PickView, use a service like that to see what's performing better. Do your keyword research. Use Helium 10. Make sure that your SEO is in there as best as it can be. But when it comes to PPC, I think a lot of sellers don't really take into account that they're going to need to just spend money up front to get the data. So getting the data is the most important part. And that's really the only way you're going to know if what you've done is working, right? So if you don't have the data to say what you at launch, what the results are, then you don't have, number one, you don't have any data to optimize things maybe down, right? To maybe higher cost keywords or wasteful spend. But you also don't have a starting point then to say, okay, now I'm here. Now I'm going to change the main image, right? And then now I'm going to test for a week and then I'm going to see what the results were. So I think you don't want to get caught up in analysis paralysis up front. You basically want to, yes, do the best you can to launch your listing as optimized as you can, but then understand you're going to need at least a full, in my opinion, a month. You should have 30 days that you just know, yeah, you're going to probably waste some money, but you're in data collection mode. And that's what PPC, if you don't do that, if you're too conservative with your budgets, if your campaigns are running out of, a budget at, 6 a.m. every single day or noon, and you just launch, then you don't really have a clear picture of what your campaigns can do and how your listing can convert because you've got inaccurate data points. So what I feel is the most important is your budgets, making sure that you understand you're going to spend a bunch up front because you're in data collection mode, making sure budgets are on. And Amazon makes it pretty easy now. They have a new budgets beta tab that you can just click on and you can just see all your campaigns and the percent of time that they've been in budget or out of budget. So basically anything below 100%, this one campaign or two, whatever you see, isn't 100% in budget at all times. And they'll give you recommendations on how much the budget should be. There's also some other data there and potential impressions loss, impression sales loss, things like that, which, I don't think is 100%. That's not the point of it. That's not the benefit to me. The ease of just checking to see when your campaigns are out of budget. That's what I like using it for. But yeah, test, but you can only test once you have a solid set of data first, and then that's your baseline.
The question is from Lincoln, actually, for Vince. What is an acceptable ACOS? I know that he's gonna say depends, and I know he's gonna say depends, and I hate that answer. You start experimenting with the PPC ads. from what I read,
Well,
expectation could be 100%
100%.
and more.
Yeah. So you can figure out, when you're testing, you should expect it to be 100%, right? If you can afford that, your ACoS should be 100%. So technically, you're spending X, but you're making X in sales, so you shouldn't be losing money. But more effective would be your break-even ACoS. So taking into account the product costs, obviously your COGS and shipping, storage, whatever fees that are there, which you can get, from Amazon, taking that into account. So maybe it's 80% once you do your break-even ACoS. So if you test for a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at your break-even ACoS, then that's a solid strategy. So it's those that they hear that a goal ACoS is 20%, and then they try to do that first month and keep it at 20%. It's like, no. You're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're not getting all of the data first to then look at what can be trimmed down. You're trying to trim it down at the beginning, which makes zero sense. So yeah, it should always be 100%. If you want to keep it super simple, or just figure out what your break-even ACoS and then use that. But more importantly, honestly, even during that testing phase, look at your tacos, right? Look at your total ACoS, right? And for those of you who may not know what that is, so your ACoS is just, your PPC spend divided by your PPC sales. Take your organic into account. So take your organic and PPC divided by your PPC spend. That's going to be definitely more effective than looking at just your ACoS. And it's typically going to be a lower number. But, test, but make sure you have a significant data set first so that you can get that baseline. And having a fairly high ACoS expectation is a smart way to go about it.
I agree. Jason, anything you want to add? I think that's like an interesting topic, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we get this question all the time on the podcast. It's so general, but it is product dependent. I agree with everything Vince said. One thing here is there's all kinds of different product types, and people focus on ACoS too much. Tacos is the correct number. You could have 100% ACoS on $10,000 in ad spend, but your tacos could be 8%. You'd be killing it, right?
Right.
You see it all the time. You have certain products and categories where, heck, I have a client that their goal ACoS is 350%. So that would be nuts if you gave that to a VA or anybody PPC, but you have to understand the products and why it needs to be at that rate, right? And the most important thing, and Vince mentioned it here, and we see this all the time for new clients coming in, either they're with another or running their accounts on their own, or they had an internal team or something like that. I go and I look at the last 60 days of ad spend. I see campaigns that are at 30 ROAS or 20 ROAS with $5 budgets, and they're running out of money at 6 a.m. every day. And I'm like, wow, these people just lost like a ton of money not actually setting real budgets for these things.
If it's only $5, they're probably running out at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, probably at midnight when it's
12:05. Depending on the product and category and competition.
Usually, when you see that high ROAS, they're brand campaigns.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are always like things that you can find out more. The more you definitely need to be like data driven, or you need to have like the right people in your team, or you need to work with like obviously if you have like a good amount of selling products, you should be working either like really good agencies like my Amazon guys or Trivium Group that can understand, but also I think one thing that a lot of people come to you guys and say, hey, why this is not working so fast, right? So what is your general answer? I'd like to hear about that a little bit. When the client don't see the expected results, how do you guys approach generally, or what do you recommend? What should be selling on Amazon, like sellers should be expecting from the agencies like you? Vince, do you want to start? Because you were both on the software side and consultant side now, with Trivium Group.
Yeah. So I didn't get a lot of those. Well, actually, I did see some of those questions come through in Helium 10 too, because we did start helping, sellers directly. I would say the biggest thing is, number one, I would think that a lot of sellers' expectations are just incorrect, right? They think that they don't understand that the PPC isn't supposed to get you sales. That's the biggest thing. PPC is not there to get you sales at launch. PPC is there to get you is there to get you visibility, and it's there to get you that data. So you're in data collection mode. If you can only go 2 weeks, fine, only go 2 weeks. A month is better. Obviously, the more data you have, then you can drill it down. So to answer Lincoln's question, so what I often say is manage your expectations better. Understand what PPC is and is not. I think that once people make that transition and understand, oh, PPC is just the road to get people to my store. That's all it is. It's not supposed to be a sales driver. It's your marketing budget, right? If you just look at it from that perspective, you have a physical store, you're going to spend some money on a newspaper ad or a magazine ad or a billboard somewhere. And you know that you're going to need to do that to just drive make people aware of your physical store and get them into your front door. Once they're in the front door, it's 100% your job to make sure that store is not dirty and it has good signage and people know where to go. And
that's so true. That's so true.
You have the stock you have availability of stock. So, and that's where your product detail page is. So I think if most sellers try to take that into account and say, oh, okay, this is just my marketing budget. I might make money on this. I might lose money on this. But as long as I'm looking at my total sales numbers and those numbers are good, to Jason's point, then you're doing a good job. And so most of the time when I have that and I explain it that way, people are like, oh, okay, I'll start looking at my total sales more and then I'll complain less. But honestly, the first thing that I do, if I hear anything like that, if I have time, I'll look at their listing. And once you've looked at X amount of listings so much, you can basically say pretty quickly, well, I see this, and this wrong with your listing. So you're complaining about PPC, but when people complain about PPC, it's generally not PPC's fault. it's the listing's fault.
I know. Jason?
Yeah, I mean, so we do everything here. So we have all kinds of different type of clientele. We have clients that we're only doing UPC to GS1 changes for. We have full service clients where we're doing everything. We have PPC only clients. We have design only clients, right? So that said, it all has to start at the point of the sales process and setting expectations. And that's where you need to talk to the client and let them know realistic expectations. We don't do sales forecasts here. I don't think anybody should, because Amazon is volatile. You don't know if a new competitor is going to come out in the market and start spending $1 billion on TikTok and take you out. So we show projections on what the trends are, search trends, that sort of thing. People always ask for sales forecasts. Like, no, we can't. Yeah. We don't do that.
Sure.
Here's what we can do, and here's the expectations. Once the client's onboarded, then the director, like myself or one of my peers, we have all of the survey that they take on what they want. We have some I'll have some clients that say, I'm here for peace of mind. I don't want to touch the Amazon account anymore. I'm going on my yacht. Talk to you guys later. Don't call me. Don't email me. Yeah. Right? That's fine. They just want somebody to take care of it for them. And that's what you do. And then you have some people that, and it's not their fault. Like Vince said, you need to bring realization to what can happen and what the outcome can be and how long that will take. And most people, once you explain to them what tacos is, they understand. Right. And they'll come and say, okay, our ad budget is $500 a month, and but we have 600 SKUs and we want to advertise all of them. And I'm like, okay, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you want to do here? You only want to focus on the top 10, or can we get more ad budget? Right. Yeah. And that's where you come to compromise. You tell them, this is impossible with this budget, and this is why, and this is what you do need, and there's plenty of room for growth here. So let me show you.
Sure. Yeah, guys, we're running out of time, but I have one question. So many people, they also start selling on different marketplaces, especially like, Walmart is becoming very aggressive in the market. They attend to the different events, they do promotions, they expand. People now, international sales also can sell on Walmart.com. So Jason, I know that Walmart's PPC, what is it called? Like a platform, their like front end is not that as developed as Amazon.
They updated it like a month ago.
Yeah. So what do you see? Like, when do you think Walmart will be like really competitive because we have a lot of customers, they sell on Amazon, like let's say $3 to $5 million, but like their sales is depends on the categories. Obviously, if they're selling food or other stuff, it could be like different essentials. It could be like faster, but people who sell on Amazon, when they start entering like Walmart, what do you see about like the PPC? Is it advanced? Is it like entry level? When people should be entering actually Walmart.com if they're selling like good products on Amazon?
The biggest thing with going into other marketplaces is just making sure, again, you have brand establishment. I have a grocery client that does better on Walmart than they do on Amazon because there's less competition, and they make more money there because it's less fees and that sort of thing. But the PPC, I mean, up until, like I said, a couple of months ago, it was very rudimentary. They did improve it a little bit. Vince, I don't know if you've been in there, but he could probably talk better on it than I can. But I know it's definitely not as even close to something that is advanced. So it's pretty simple to figure out if it was your first time, if you're talking PPC only.
Okay, interesting. Guys, I know that like PPC is something that we can talk forever, but I think we're done for today. Vince, what do you recommend people who wants to use like Trivium? What do you guys offer? Can you tell them a little bit about what do you guys exactly offer?
Yeah, so Trivium is a full service PPC agency, and we focus on different size accounts. And also, like I mentioned before, we do have access to DSP. We do have a seat at that table. Amin is really, really good at that. And I've not touched that, but I've seen some pretty amazing things that he has done for his clients. So if they want information on that, they can, reach out to me on LinkedIn or just go to the Trivium, I think it's just triviumgroup.com website or Trivium Co. And fill out a contact us form, or find me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Vince Montero. If people want to connect, and I get questions there sometimes about PPC that I answer. Stay tuned for more content that I'm going to be partnering with Trivium.
Yeah, you will be bringing back to Taco Tuesdays. Let me know
if
you need
Tuesdays is
when are you going to start?
I'm doing the last Tuesday of each month, so next Tuesday, the 28th, and I will have a guest speaker on with me, Rob Whitsley of Video Fresh.
Nice.
We're going to talk about sponsored video ads, and there's a lot of new things that have come out. We could have a whole one of these sessions just on video ads.
Yeah, that's something that we couldn't even like get in. Probably we need to do like another session, Jason, Vince. So
yeah,
Jason,
I'm excited about that one.
Vince, me too. I mean, hopefully you will need a guest who has a lot of questions, so that could be me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jason, my Amazon guys, tell us a little bit about my Amazon guys.
Yeah, like Trivium kind of, but we are full service Amazon marketing agency. We do Walmart too. We do everything. So not just PPC, but listing builds, troubleshooting, parentage work, SEO, design. We have a full design department. And on top of that, we also have magschool.com, which has courses that are super cheap that you can take to learn Amazon and the basics and the advanced stuff. We have our YouTube channel, which is probably where most of the viewers know us from, which is always putting out content. I try and put out as many videos as I can, and it's all knowledge stuff. We're not trying to sell anything. I don't know. Sometimes Steven goes on there and tries to sell stuff, but
exactly. But luckily, we don't have Steven today, so we didn't sell anything.
All my videos are quick things like, oh, here's how to do this real quick. 5 minutes. Here's how to do this. In addition to that, we have a live Q&A every week on Friday at 12 noon Eastern, where we answer any and every Amazon question, myself and one of my brand managers, Faith. So that's what we do.
That's great. Guys, the reason why actually I wanted to invite Vince and Jason, because I know that you guys are putting very quality content on YouTube, like on the blogs, the websites, every webinar we go, or every the big events. I really appreciate you guys for your time today. I know that it's probably a busy Monday, a lot of things to catch up, but I think a lot of people have some refreshment of their minds about the questions and then Amazon. So guys, thank you for joining. You know how to find Jason and Vince and me, obviously sales@forceget.com. We are the only Amazon FBA freight company with real-time tracking on our platform. That's something really important to manage your international chain, supply chains, the production, the full container or air shipment trackings, the warehouse inventory management. Otherwise, you will not have anything to sell on Amazon, or you will not have like budget to run your PPC. With my Amazon guy and Trivium group. Guys, thank you so much for your time, and see you in your next webinar. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.